Welcome to ABC Interactive English. Hello, everyone. I am Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we are back. We're still on the plane. It's never gonna end. Where are we going? Are we flying to the moon?
Probably.
I don't think you can, but it feels like we've been on a plane for 3 days because, well, we kind of have. But this is a good time to join us because it's one of the more interesting parts of being on a plane. We get to eat. We are going to be having an in-flight meal, or we're eating on the airplane. Are you a big fan of airplane food?
I don't know about the actual, there's really just not very good airplane food.
It's an airplane.
Yeah.
It's not a restaurant. I mean, we're flying high, fast, so, you get what you get.
Yes, but I do kind of like, I know it's not the case, but it kind of feels like free food. Like I'm on the airplane and I already got my seat and everything. Ooh, yay,
hey, look, they're
food.
bringing me food.
So I like that part of it, and
True.
I do try to eat most of it because I feel bad to waste it. But
that's nice.
It's not very good. Usually.
No, I find sometimes I just eat because I'm bored. I've been sitting on an airplane for 6 hours. I'm not doing anything. And then you're not really hungry, but you are kind of bored. So it's a nice way to sort of break up the long flight. We should also warn people that if you're traveling in other places, especially in North America, you might have to buy your food on the plane. Yes. We're very lucky. Often in Taiwan, we get free food. And often in Taiwan, we're traveling longer distances.
Or even just international. I think every international flight you have to have a
going to another country. But if you're in America or Canada and you're flying from, New York to Chicago, there might not be an in-flight meal. You can buy food and bring it on the airplane, or you might spend quite a lot of money to buy something quite small in the airplane itself. So do be prepared sometimes to have your own meal. But in many cases, yes, if you're flying a long distance, they will bring the food cart up and down. You will get to choose chicken or fish, beef or chicken or beef, things like that, and you will get to enjoy your in-flight meal. So let's do that right now. Brad is telling the flight attendant his meal choice.
Hi, I'd like the noodles with meat sauce, please.
I'm terribly sorry, sir. We just ran out of the noodles.
All right, so yes, our title is In-Flight Meal because that's what we're talking about. Meals, of course, are things that you eat during the day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. These are the common 3 meals that most people will eat. And in-flight just means you're in the airplane during the travel, during the airplane journey. That is called a flight. My flight leaves at 9 o'clock. My flight lands at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So we would talk about in-flight meals. We might talk about in-flight movies or in-flight entertainment, the things you can watch or listen to. So basically things provided by the airplane, by the airline, available on the airplane, are the in-flight things. So basically eating on the plane.
Yes, and so we have Brad and then also a flight attendant again, and it says that Brad is telling the flight attendant his meal choice because there's always 2 options, and actually if you book beforehand and you book, you kind of go into the details and you check the meal. There are some other options as long as you've done it 24 hours or more in advance. You can do vegetarian, book kids meals, things like that. But you must do it beforehand. That's not something you can do on the actual airplane. On the airplane, you're reduced to 2 choices. Usually it's kind of, chicken or fish, that kind of option.
Exactly right. So you can get, vegan. Do they have vegan? Vegetarian?
That you have to do beforehand.
Vegan before, kids meals, kosher if you're a Jewish person, halal if you're a Muslim person, because there are certain things they can't eat. You'll often get your meal a little bit earlier before everyone else. So, if you want to do that, you can. But as Sam very wisely pointed out, do it before, when you book your ticket, really. because they have to prepare it special for you. So Brad, he's pretty simple. He doesn't need a special meal. He was probably given a choice of two things. Sometimes in the pocket in front of you, on the seat in front of you, they might have a little menu, so you might get to see what the choices are, but he knows what he wants. He says, "Hi, I'd like the noodles with meat sauce, please." So it sounds kind of like spaghetti with meat sauce or something like that, because spaghetti is a type of noodle.
Yes, a noodle is just those types of kind of, I don't even know what dough that you have, rolled and then you've cooked and all that kind of stuff.
Cut into
and
long
then,
pieces.
Yes, and so you have noodles in kind of everything. You can have noodles in pastas, in spaghettis. You have noodles, ramen. Yeah, Taiwan, you guys have noodles with lots of things.
Right.
Cold noodles, dry noodles. Tainan noodles, all those kinds of different noodles. Yes, so you see noodles everywhere, and that is just what he's asking for. Here he says, I'd like the noodles, instead of saying like, I'd like pasta or spaghetti. You can also just say, I want the noodles. It's the same idea.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 noodle 名词面条，惯用复数形式哦。I had beef noodles for lunch. 我午餐吃了牛肉面。
But unfortunately, the flight attendant says, I'm terribly sorry, sir. We just ran out of the noodles. So we ran out of that dish. Yes.
So Brad's going to get off the plane. Wait, no, don't get off the plane, Brad. That would be a bad idea. Yeah, so he's a little disappointed. The flight attendant knows that this might be bad news to Brad, and that's why the flight attendant said, I'm terribly sorry. If you're terribly sorry, in this case, it just means I'm very sorry, all right? So it's kind of a polite way of saying I'm very sorry, I'm really sorry. It can actually be really, really bad. If someone said, how did you do on your math test? And I say I did terribly, that could be really bad. Maybe I got like 10% or 10 out of 100. So in this case, we use the word, but not in the really strong meaning that we might be using it. It's just a really polite way of saying, I'm really sorry, I'm very sorry, I'm terribly sorry, sir. We just ran out of the noodles. They gave away the last one, so he can't have that. He has to choose the other thing. All right, we'll see how Brad takes this. Does he start crying? Does he start screaming? Does he try to leave? No, don't leave the airplane. We'll find out after the break.
接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 run out of something 用尽某物，这是一个固定用法。我们来看看这个例句 I ran out of time and couldn't finish the test. 我时间不够，没能完成考试。
Just my luck. What is the other meal on the menu? I forgot.
It's chicken in soy sauce on white rice.
I guess I'll have that then. Also, could I get an extra roll with that?
Of course. Would you like anything to drink, sir?
I'll take a can of soda, please.
Okay, here's your meal. Please let me know if I can get you anything else.
Okay, we're back from our break, and unfortunately for Brad, they ran out of the food options.
Where are my noodles?
So there were two options. Again, we talked about how if you already are on the airplane, you're going to only have two options for food. And Brad really wanted the noodles with meat sauce, but they just ran out.
That's too bad. But remember, you're on the airplane to go somewhere far away quickly, not really to eat. So it doesn't really matter. But Brad is feeling a little bit hard done by, a little bit unlucky. He says, just my luck. And you often say that when something bad happens to you and you kind of feel at that moment that something bad always happens to you. You always miss out on the noodles. You're always the last one there, you know, something like that. So you're kind of saying, I always have this kind of bad luck. Just my luck, which is always bad. What is the other meal on the menu? What is the other choice? What is the other option? What can I eat if you're out of the noodles that I wanted? And he kind of says, I forgot, because he might have read it before or they said it before, but he doesn't remember.
Yeah, he probably heard the one he wanted and forgot everything else.
Noodles with meat sauce, noodles with meat sauce.
That's what I usually do. And then, oh wait, what were my choices again? And so the flight attendant says, it's chicken in soy sauce on white rice. So this is not a bad option, because sometimes the other meal is a little too far in some other direction, a little like a safe choice and then a little too weird.
Fish with peanut butter.
Yeah, and so we got lucky. It's just chicken in soy sauce, and soy sauce is just that kind of brown, salty sauce that you guys use. Taiwan and actually I guess Asia in general, people use soy sauce for lots and lots and lots of meals as flavoring. It's the same sauce that you might dip your sushi in with, mixed with wasabi or your dumplings. And so it's very, very common in Asia. Not as common in Western food as far as, unless they're cooking like more Asian styles. It really is more of an Asian style sauce. And so he says, okay, let's see if this is going to be all right for Brad, because it's not his first choice, but it's not so crazy. It's kind of okay.
Exactly right. Yeah, we should also say that sometimes people in North America, and maybe on a menu, you might read this as soya sauce. S-O-Y-A. Sometimes people say that. I think soy is more accurate. That's where it comes from, but sometimes it's also called soya sauce.
下一个单字 soy sauce 酱油。Jada added a little soy sauce to the fried rice. Jada 在炒饭中加入了一些酱油。接着我们来看重点文法。Just my luck 真不巧，真倒霉。这是一个口语用法，通常用于事与愿违的一个情境，表达无奈啊，或者是自嘲的语气。我们来看看这个例句。Just my luck. It started raining the moment I left the house. 真倒霉，我一出门就开始下雨。
Anyways, yeah, everyone is familiar with this, and Brad is too, and you know, chicken, soy sauce, white rice, okay. He says, I guess I'll have that then. Hopefully he's like, I guess I'll have that then, not, I guess I'll have that then. He's not super sad. He's disappointed, but that actually sounds okay. Plus, he has no other choices.
Yes, exactly.
He can't call Pizza Hut or anything. Also, he asks, could I get an extra roll with that? Okay, so he's thinking maybe if the chicken's not so good, I can get full by eating bread. That's why he asks for the extra roll. Extra meaning one more or more than normal. All right, so if you ask for extra, maybe you're hungry or something like that, and you want to eat a little bit more. Most people will get this much. You want that much. So you want a little bit extra, and you often do this, as I said, when you're hungry, and also when it's appropriate, when you think they can do that. If you go to McDonald's and say, can I have some extra French fries? They might go, no, you have to pay for those.
That would just be buying a large.
Exactly. Just buy an extra large then, because, you know, it's more than normal.
Yes, and he was asking for an extra roll. And a roll is just a bread that is in kind of this almost like a circular shape,
a
little ball, yeah. And you will sometimes hear this as a dinner roll. And this is something very popular in, for example, in America, we have rolls all the time, but I feel over here, it's not as common.
No, it's an American thing.
Yeah, it's a really American thing. And sometimes we'll even have bread rolls brought to like your table at a restaurant, and that is free to eat as much as you want. And so you can get more and more and more bread rolls. So a lot of people like rolls in America. And so the flight attendant says, of course. So of course you can have an extra one. Would you like anything to drink, sir? And so now we've got the meal down. What would you like to drink?
There you go. So, of course, you'll be able to get a drink for free on the airplane. Sometimes if it's beer or wine, you might have to pay, but sometimes it's also free. So what would he like to drink? Brad doesn't think about this too much. He has an idea. I'll take a can of soda, please. So he wants a can of soda. When we see that, we think Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Sprite, 7-Up, Orange, Fanta, things like that. Some people say you shouldn't drink soda on a plane. The bubbles can, make your stomach feel unhappy because, you're up in the air where there's less pressure. But still, soda is an okay thing to drink. You might burp a little bit more. But yes, you might enjoy that with your meal.
Yes, and so the flight attendant says, okay, here's your meal. Please let me know if I can get you anything else. So now you've got everything you need. If there's anything else, let me know. And then she probably continues on serving everybody else.
There you go, giving them their food and their drink. Are you a soda drinker on the plane?
I like Sprite on an airplane.
I read somewhere that tomato juice tastes better on an airplane.
That's very funny. My dad orders tomato juice every single time he's on an airplane.
I've tried to do that. The problem is I don't drink tomato juice on the ground. So I don't really know if it tastes better. But I do worry about the bubbles in soda, making your stomach unhappy. Plus you're sitting down the whole time. Anyways, whatever you eat and drink on the plane, we wish you guys all the best. Wonderful journeys no matter where you go. Hope for that empty available seat. And do always try to get your bags in the overhead bin as quickly as you can. Take care, bon voyage, be safe, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.
下一个单字 extra 形容词额外的 I need to buy some extra notebooks for school. 我需要额外买几本学校要用的笔记本。最后一个单字 roll 名词餐包小圆面包。Ken had a roll with soup for lunch. Ken 午餐喝了一碗汤配一个小餐包。最后一个文法 a can of 一罐什么 Can 是量词罐的意思。我们来看看这个例句 I bought a can of soda from the vending machine. 我在自动贩卖机买了一罐汽水。Vending machine 指的就是自动贩卖机。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Brad is telling the flight attendant his meal choice.
Hi, I'd like the noodles with meat sauce, please.
I'm terribly sorry, sir. We just ran out of the noodles.
Just my luck. What is the other meal on the menu? I forgot.
It's chicken in soy sauce on white rice.
I guess I'll have that then. Also, could I get an extra roll with that?
Of course. Would you like anything to drink, sir?
I'll take a can of soda, please.
Okay, here's your meal. Please let me know if I can get you anything else.
Move.
Hey, that's mine!
I don't care.
Why are you so angry?
It's Sabrina, our boss. She made me redo my whole report.
That's really out of line.
It's okay.
It's time for translations, and the topic is at the breaking point of anger. 别耍我, how would you say that?
Don't throw me around. Don't fake me.
Okay, or don't mess with me, okay? How about this one? 别太过分哦.
It's too much. Don't play too much.
Very good. Don't play too much. What did we learn today? Today's translation topic is at the breaking point of anger. The first phrase is, don't jerk me around. The word jerk as a noun means someone that bullies others or says things that aren't very nice. As a verb, however, it can mean to pull violently or to push someone. So, to jerk somebody around means to give someone trouble purposefully or to look for trouble. The second phrase is, don't get out of line. The word line in the phrase is referring to a line in a queue. Get out of line means to leave the boundaries of the line or to cross the limit. So the phrase, don't get out of line, can be used to warn someone not to cross the line or break boundaries. And that's all for translations today. Kiwi later!